On Point, hosted by Peter Van Aartryk. Conversations with interesting and informative experts on technology, branding, culture, social media marketing, and other great topics.
Hello again, everybody. I'm Peter Van Aartryk, your host for On Point, brought to you by our good friends at Wells Media, which includes Carrier Management, Insurance Journal, and other fine publications. Our guest today is James Thom, the Chief Product Officer at Vertafore. Welcome, James.
Thanks for having me, Peter.
Yeah, this is great. I'm glad we have a chance to catch up. I know you guys are coming off fairly recently a great conference in Vegas for NetView Accelerate. A lot of users there and opinion leaders around the insurance industry. But before we get into some of that and what you guys announced and what you're working on now, I wanted to get into a little bit of how you got there, how your career, which was, you did a lot of strategic planning for clients as a consultant. You were in telecom and then insurance technology. It seems like you've been in insurance technology for a while now. So obviously you want to find out why you're here, what made you stay?
Yeah, it's a great question. When I was at McKinsey and Company before I joined Vertafore a number of years ago. Back in 2017, I joined Vertafore, and I wasn't necessarily looking to make a change, but I had some friends introduce me to Amy, who had just hopped on board as the CEO of Vertafore at the time, and was really excited to learn more about the journey that Vertafore as a company was on. I had spent some time working in the insurance industry previously as a consultant, but the opportunity of Vertafore to take this company that had what I would call an enviable list of clients, an amazing set of products, and sat in an amazing industry, and really transform and modernize it, accelerate the way that the company worked was such an incredible opportunity. And so I was excited to hop on board and join in at Vertafore. And certainly I've been at Vertafore now since, like I said, mid 2017. A good bit of time, and the reason that I stayed more than anything else was people. When I look at, you talked about our user conference, our Accelerate user conference that we do with our NetView, the network of Vertafore users, and the amount of passion and care and excitement that our customers have for who Vertafore is and what we do for the industry is incredible, and it gets me up and out of bed every day and excited to work with them on transforming the industry. So that's really what's kept me here more than anything else, is our customers.
Yeah. I was just talking, this is related, but bear with me. I was just talking with a graphic designer, works for an insurance company this morning, just a little bit of mentoring. He's in his 20s, and because, I just took this job with this company. I didn't really think much about it. People are saying, insurance, really? Like, you're a graphic designer. You need to work for like Google or something. Yeah. And he's like, I got here and I'm like, these people are really, they're just nice people. Like I met him at a marketing conference, and people from outside his company were nice people, and they are nice people. So I think you're right there. I think I stayed because of the people, James. I've been in the industry since '82, if you can believe it. Just hit 44 years. It's the number one thing people say. It's just something about it. And yet on the other side, the dichotomy is the other side. The consumer image of insurance is you take our money, you just don't want to give it back. I mean, it's so unbelievable how it's so different when you get inside and see it.
It's true. And I think it's all about the lens that you get exposed to the industry. You hear obviously stories in the media about insurance, and there's movies made about battles with your insurance company and things like that. But the reality of it is, on a day-to-day basis, what I see is people who care deeply about their customers. If you think about personal lines insurance, if there's a fire, like, our customers who are agents for those and insureds are the first people there helping them rebuild their lives. It's a meaningful and important industry, and people who care about people, and that translates in the way that they work with us. They're not always easy to work with. They're not always happy, but they care deeply, and that's the thing that's exciting about working with them.
Yeah. Well, you have a big job at Vertafore, and I've seen your keynotes at the conference. You mentioned Accelerate, and how do you how do you approach the strategy for this and make decisions based on what you learned along the way? Because I think that's the background you have is good. You come into the industry, you're looking at it, some things rhyme, some things might not rhyme. But what is the framework you use to with strategic planning? Because there's a lot on the plate.
Yeah, there's sort of two dimensions to it, I would say, is one, how are you thinking about balancing long-term versus short-term, I think is an important consideration. And then the second is, how do you think about balancing across the stakeholders that you work with? And so, I think focus on the second part of that first. The way I always try and think about the problem is, what is it? What is what are we doing for our customers? What are we doing for our employees? And then what are we doing for the company overall? And trying to balance the strategy across those three different stakeholders, right? Are we delivering for our customers in the right way? Are we delivering for our employees and giving them the experience that they need in the right way? And are we delivering a strong and stable Vertafore into the future as a business? And if you can find a way to make decisions that balance those and keep those things in balance, you'll find that things feel good, things feel stable, like you're moving things forward. The second part about that is, or the first part when I talked about it, is how do you think about balancing short term versus long term, and really you kind of have to focus on three horizons, I would say, as you think about that problem, right? One is, how am I delivering for my customers in the now? Right? Am I putting enough product out there in the moment to solve the immediate needs of them, to solve immediate questions around market competitiveness? How am I thinking about the medium term in terms of creating a healthy business for Vertafore overall, and where are we going from that perspective? And then how am I thinking about putting some long-term bets in place that are really about transforming the industry, and where we think the industry needs to go? What changes do we think we need to happen to build a stronger ecosystem in and around Vertafore? And so when it comes to strategy and decision making, I try and think about those two lenses, I think, to the problem, and within them, those sort of three sub buckets underneath them.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting you say the employees, because in our work here at Artrike, we just know the best brands are built from the inside out. You really can't do much for customers until you figure out, how your employees are operating. And it just seems like operational stuff and HR stuff, and it's really more important. The most important brand is the internal brand. So nice to hear you say that. Definitely want to talk more about the long term, because it's there's just a lot going on, a lot of noise. Do you find do you feel, maybe this is short midterm for those audience sets, but what is mission critical for you right now? And how do you even know how to sort of separate, like I said, the noise, and a lot of the noise is around AI, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a set of stuff that I would say is like very tactical for a lot of our customers, right? How are we delivering for them in the moment, making sure that our projects and work with them are efficient and effective. And then the product related questions for us right now are really centered on AI, right? Like, how are we finding ways to automate more of that manual work inside of the business, whether you're an agency, an MGA, or a carrier, to allow those teams to focus more on their customers, to focus more on meaningful, high value work that really matters to them, and take them out of the mundane, take them out of the drudgery of data entry, of having to manually push tasks forward through the pipelines. How do I reduce the manual administrative burden of working inside of these businesses? And I would say that's always been the focus for us as we think about increasing velocity in the distribution channel, increasing speed and focus in the distribution channel in insurance. But what AI gives us the opportunity to do is really unlock new ways of doing that and do it even faster, whether that's developing faster internally and our own speed of development, or delivering AI powered tools to our clients to help them do more of that faster. So those are the things that weigh heavily on my mind. It really is a heavy focus on automation and reduction in manual work for our clients in order to drive velocity inside of their businesses.
I always like to say that independent agents are really efficient at being inefficient. And that's not a knock on any technology provider. It's just the way it has been since the start. And so anything that reduces like keystrokes, going from multiple entry to single entry, maybe to no entry now with AI.
Yeah.
And just like you think, well, summarizing emails, that seems like kind of basic AI stuff, but it is game changing when you're a CSR dealing with, 100 customers this week. If you can just save a few minutes here and there, you free them up to, like you said, to do more of the high value stuff, which is probably spending more quality time with customers and prospects and walking through things. It seems so basic compared with the noise that's out in the world generally about AI, but yet it changes lives within these firms. Thousands of independent agents around the country. It really does change lives. So you guys have. Is there anything that happened in the most recent conference that we can talk about? Some things you introduced. You can just tick them off, or you can pick one.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest announcement as it relates to AI was what we launched at conference was what we call our Velocity AI platform. And so this is for Vertafore is the architecture, the technology architecture in which we're building all of our new AI tools for our customers. Think about it as how we can release agents rapidly that automate that work for our customers. And so that with that technology architecture and then announcement of the Velocity AI platform at Accelerate, we also announced 6 AI agents that we're delivering for our customers in the now, right? These are things that are either being used by our customers today or we've launched since Accelerate to our customers. And we're seeing, incredible results for our customers in that right now.
Okay. What kinds of things? What do the 6 agents do?
Yeah, so we can kind of tick them off. So one is our reconciliation agent, and so one of the things that agencies unfortunately have to spend a fair bit of time doing is reconciling carrier statements with data inside of their agency management system. So think about getting a direct bill commission statement and needing to match those two transactions in the AMS in order to recognize that revenue, ensure that you're receiving the proper commissions from your carrier partners and go about your business. And that extends it to agency bill transactions as well. And so what we launched was our reconciliation agent. The reconciliation agent allows you to use AI to ingest those carrier statements and improve the matching to the transactions inside of the agency management system. And it effectively reduces the amount of time you spend in that process by 90%, right? It's a huge time savings in the back office, particularly meaningful for those folks who, at the end of the month are spending, many, many hours, many late nights trying to close the books and get everything wrapped up so that they can calculate producer commissions and pay everybody properly, recognize revenue properly. So that's a huge one. Second one we launched was our email agent. And so actually very similar to what you talked about already with email summarization. Think about something, this agent lives in the user's inbox, inside of their email inbox, and it reads the emails. It recognizes the intent from the email that's coming through and allows you to take action inside of the agency management system without ever leaving your inbox. So, previously you might get an email, you might have to drag that email into the management system to log it as hey, I received this, I'm going to create an activity and go do this work. We said, hey, let's not do any of that anymore. Let's automate that pipeline and use AI to do the summarization to understand the intent. It also goes as far as to give you the ability to compose email responses back to the customer where you maybe need more information. So the example could be a customer emails you to add a vehicle to their policy, and you recognize that the customer did not provide a VIN number or maybe a garage location for that vehicle, it will be smart enough to recognize that and help you compose that message back to the customer so that you can quickly take action on that. So, again, minutes of time savings with every email that comes in. You realize, like you said, how much time people spend living in their email inbox.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I saw a number once. It's 4 minutes. The average email takes 4 minutes to process on average, including deletes, forwards, reply all. Average. I mean, it's just a lot of time. I know it's important for business, but that sounds very helpful.
Yeah.
Email agent. Yeah. Okay.
It's a great one. Another one that we did was what we call our insurance expert agent. And so, Vertafore, we've had a product for years and years called Reference Connect. We aggregate together a huge base of insurance knowledge from third-party publishers. So think about IRMI content, ISO content, Rough Notes content, NCCI content, all sorts of content inside of this platform. And what we allow you to do now is to use a chat style interface to have natural language question and answer with that data set. So you're able to ask questions about, say, commercial insurance. You want to understand maybe what forms you need for a particular policy type. You want to better understand what exposures a particular customer might have. You can ask those questions of the insurance expert agent, and it will rely on that content from our third-party publishers to give you answers in real time to those. So previously, you had to do a lot of keyword search, a lot of digging through documents, and we removed all that. It summarizes it into easy to understand natural language for our users, and that's a really exciting one for us to have. Yeah,
great.
We launched two that are focused on our MGA customers, our portal launcher agent, which allows them to stand up web forms really quickly for risk intake. We launched our submission processing agent, which allows our MGA clients to intake submission data automatically. So think about a retail agent emailing a large submission to an underwriter in an MGA, and they can rip all the information out of those attachments in the email and populate their underwriting workbench and go to task on trying to respond to that submission faster. And then we launched a new agent in the employee benefits space that allows you to extract information from documents and populate plan data inside of the management system, and reduces all the time you spend on data entry related to employee benefits plans. And so those are the 6 that we launched. We're working on more and more. We have tons of AI pods and stood up of teams of people attacking these agent problems in the Velocity AI platform. And we're really excited to see our customers using these already and getting value out of them.
Yeah. So what do you make of all the just generally hype about AI?
Yeah.
You described some things that are really important, from a just like what can we, it's sort of like, where do you start? Well, let's start here. I mean, why boil the ocean? There's so much we can do right here to save agents time, which translates into money. They can do more things. Like I said, with cross-sell, upsell, they can maybe not replace a CSR, so it goes to the bottom line, things like that. Although I think, tell me what you think about this. I feel like the hype around all these layoffs, the companies, not just insurance, but they're saying, oh, well, with AI, we don't need so many people. I think that's kind of like a what's the word? It's sort of like a front for the fact that they probably had too many of the wrong people, or too many people, period, in the first place. And it's kind of an excuse. I think it will, just like we saw with the internet, expand opportunities, expand work. I really feel good about the independent agent channel in the future with AI. I don't sense fear, but maybe you feel different about it.
No, it's a here from me. I feel extremely passionate about the strength of the independent agency channel in the future with AI. If anything, it's a massive tailwinds of growth. I do think there is displacement and disruption inside of everyone's business, right? Like, do you have the right people? Do you need people still focused on some of these problems that you had in the past? Maybe AI solves it for you, and can you help people shift into the new roles that you need them to do? But the idea of the human in the loop, the personalized advice, the care that our customers provide to their customers, it doesn't go away, and AI can't replace a lot of those things. But it's a huge tailwinds in taking away the manual drudgery work that they have. I think about it much in the same way. Vertafore serves the insurance industry, but is a vertical SaaS business, right? And you look at what the public markets have done to vertical SaaS businesses, whether it's Figma's stock price or Adobe or
Hmm. Hmm.
Intuit and all these other things, and all this fear and around what does AI do to vertical SaaS? I feel very much that it's a huge growth accelerator for vertical SaaS businesses because it gives us the opportunity to develop so much faster, to use AI tools to take away the manual drudgery of coding, right? Like we don't have we have tools that allow us to code so much quicker. And you can argue about quality and AI slop, but the reality is it's getting better and better every day, and we see the power of that. And so, why not take away all that manual drudgery work and bring more focus to the customer, bring more focus to the unique advice that you can provide as a person, and learn how to use AI as an accelerator for you as an individual to do even more on a day-to-day basis. It's
Yeah.
such a powerful tool in that way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And in your role, it's kind of cool because your customers are counting on you to, hey, help me figure this stuff out. I mean, one thing I've seen, again, I'm not a tech guy like you. I'm not a product leader like you. But when I walk around trade shows in recent years, whether it's ITC or Accelerate or AppliedNet or what any of them, it's like you see AI splashed everywhere. And I try to play the role of like, all right, I'm just a retail agent walking around here. Like, what do I do with this? What does this all mean? And my world as an agent is my management system. I turn the lights on in the morning in the agency or at home, and I turn on my computer. I fire it up, and that's what I'm doing, right? I gotta. So when you can bring you as an opinion leader and as a thought leader can bring change for them, it provides them. Okay, there's someone has a plan.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I don't know what I'm doing, and my staff doesn't know. I'm playing around with ChatGPT at home, but I don't really know what I'm doing. But
Yeah.
it's like I said, it seems like well, 5 years time we talk, it'll seem like it was table stakes, but I think it's big.
Yeah. Well, you
Um,
you harken back to the, development of the internet and where we ended up with that and all the fear and stuff that went around that. I think we're in one of those sort of transformative moments around industrial technology. And you're right. We're going to look back in 10 years and be like, oh my God, how did we ever work differently? Right? Like
mhm.
this is so foundational to how we work on a day-to-day basis. But
Yeah.
will be so much more efficient, and it'll create all sorts of great opportunities for people. And
Hmm.
I think it's exciting time. But on the point of walking around trade shows, there's a lot of bright shiny objects out there right now, and you gotta be careful about what you're biting off and what's really important to your business. And my advice to people is make sure it feels like it's fully integrated into your workflow, right? Like, is it core to how you're going to be operating? If it's tacked on, I think you're going to find yourself potentially wasting a lot of time and money with something that doesn't feel like it's native to the way that you work today, right? And you want to try and bring it into that process.
Yeah. Yeah. Like sort of things that might be tools, but they don't necessarily solve a problem and sort of like native to what you do every day. There's a lot out there, and some of it's kind of interesting. It's sort of like Insurtech was going to blow up the entire distribution channel.
Yep.
And then they figured out I'm really casting a wide net by saying but there were
Yeah.
many, I would say hundreds, thought, well, we really need agents. We're just going to go right from the carrier to the agent. And then they're like, oh, wait a minute. This is harder than I thought.
Yeah.
There's all these regulations. And so then many of them kind of evolved into sort of be MGA-ish,
Yeah.
which is fine. I mean, they're pushing the envelope. They're experimenting. They're forcing, in many ways, the insurance industry to try new things. And do you feel like from what your experience, I know you guys have carriers as customers too. My good friend Jim Rogers with the Hartford was chair of Nephew
Yeah.
recently last year. I think his term ended with the conference in April or May. April, right? Was April? It was April.
Yeah. April. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you feel like, not to single out Hartford at all, but do you feel like they are, the carriers have been a little wiser about things that look like, they're still experimenting, but they're getting wiser at what they're implementing?
Yeah, I mean it's there's no universal truth when it comes to carriers. There are those that are investing ahead and
Hmm.
thinking, big broad strokes about the industry. I can Jim at the Hartford for sure, our friends at Travelers and others like
Yeah.
really thinking far ahead and
Hmm.
making investments in technology that are for the betterment of the entire distribution channel. There are others that are further behind and need to make some of those investments. I think we always underestimate the amount of technology debt that a lot of these businesses have in some of
Hmm.
their core systems. But so I do see that carriers are being smarter about their investments in technology. I do see that carriers are certainly being smarter about their investments in the distribution channel, and a lot of belief in the independent agent these days. And gone are the thoughts of disintermediation and where that's headed. I think people are investing more in the distribution channel and understanding the power of what the distribution channel brings, generally. So that's always good to see, and it heartens me that we're making smart investments in
Hmm.
technology. But none of it's easy. I always like to tell the story of when you join Insurtech, you join insurance, you think, hey, I'm going to go transform the way that agents and carriers work together in commercial insurance and reduce all this noise. That seems like an easy problem to go solve. And then, like you said, you get into it and you understand the complexity of it. Whether it's the number of counterparties in the relationship or all the different rules, state by state and what it means. And you're like, oh, this is hard. This is hard. These are hard problems to solve.
Yeah.
And but those are fun problems to go solve too. So we're excited to go try and tackle some of that.
Yeah. So put on your your wizard's hat or your powdered wig as a judge, and you're sort of thinking ahead, 5, 10 years. If the insurance industry gets it right in terms of all those things you mentioned, the employees are happy, the agents are happy, the carriers are happy, the customers too, the end consumers happy. What's kind of like the vision? What do you think in 5, 10 years is like kind of too far away, but I don't know. Maybe it's not. How will we know if we got it right?
Yeah. It's always hard to guess on these horizons. What's the quote? You underestimate or overestimate the change you can accomplish in the short term and underestimate
Hmm.
the change you accomplish in the long
Yeah,
term.
great quote.
I think it's a very, very true statement. So, I think the the key feeling, and if you sort of put yourself in the shoes of the end insured, is it feels like working with insurance is a more proactive experience, right? Like you're not. I would say today, as an industry, we operate in a very reactive way, whether that's how we provide information to our customers, how we think about upcoming renewals, how we think about working with prospects. It feels very reactive. And I think when we move to an environment where we take a lot of friction, we take a lot of noise out of the day-to-day work, whether that's inside of an agent, MGA, or a carrier, it shifts our focus as a distribution channel to be more proactive, and our customers will feel more proactive. It'll feel more understandable. It'll feel more connected. If you're working with your agents, not you have to ask 16 questions. It's there, and it's understandable and easy to understand. Things are faster in the industry. If you're making a claim, it's less adversarial as you work.
Amen,
But
brother.
those are
That's a
the
good
things that
state.
you where you want to be in, where it feels like it's fast and proactive and connected and understandable. I think that's the feeling that we want to have. And I think as an industry, what that means is, like we talked about earlier, it's less manual work, it's less drudgery. It gets people to the point of advice and service, really, is the way that you think about it. Yeah.
I love it, man. That would be a good state of affairs actually, because people hate they kind of hate the process. They intuitively know insurance is really important. In fact, when I was in grad school, I did a piece on what happened during the Great Depression, and one of the industries that did really well was insurance, especially life insurance. But insurance overall, people still paid their premiums because they were worried about what would happen if they didn't. But yeah, just think about less adversarial, faster, more connected, understandable is one thing that would be very, people just really don't understand what it is they're buying and what they're not buying, even more crucial, and should be buying. I wonder if people will actually be more insured properly if there was less of this other stuff going on. But it's all connected too with what's happening with risk and climate change and the cost of insurance. It's all connected. But one thing is true, and whether it's a soft market or hard market, for decades we've been dealing with this frictional stuff you mentioned, and it just feels heavy. I've spent a lot of times in agencies and carriers, and you see the piles of stuff.
Yeah.
Still paper. But the workflows just feel like there is that friction. So I think that would be, that seems very doable to me. It doesn't seem daunting. I think you can see where what you guys are working on and others. I think you could see that state of affairs happen.
Yeah, I would agree, and that's where I think AI plays a role in helping us get there faster, right?
Mm-hmm.
It allows us to leap over some of the traditional barriers to reducing that friction and get it done easier.
Yeah.
I mean, the piles of papers. I mean, I always tell people the thing you don't understand that insurance agents have to do is follow up. The number of reminders and notes and things that they have in front of them at any given point in time is it's incredible. Whether that's following up with a carrier, following up with the client, it's an insane amount of to-do actions on their plate.
Yeah.
And if you can automate more and more of that, it makes it so much easier.
What's crazy? I was around, and one of my first jobs in insurance was I wrote a piece in 1982. I think was the computer was man of the year, the personal computer.
Okay.
And Microsoft was talking about a computer in everybody's home and office, and no one really thought, well, why would you have one at home? What is the point of that?
Yeah.
But the president of the Big I at the time declared his theme for the year is like, we're going to be paper free in 83. It didn't happen in 83. It didn't happen in 93, 03, 13, 23. But, it's getting better. But the piles of paper were the CSRs in particular, because they do most of the work, they do a lot of that drudgery. I love that word, drudgery. It is drudgery, but they think this is my work. The pile's my work.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the work. You don't have to have a pile anymore.
No.
So I love it. Right.
And there's so much more satisfying work to do. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
We all love a to-do list and checking off items, but wouldn't you rather be out there like helping people get the right coverage, helping people through their claims process, helping people understand what insurance they need? Like all those things are so much more satisfying, I think, to people and really what this industry is founded on. So
absolutely. And asking how their kids are doing.
Yes, exactly. And
when is Johnny going to start driving?
Right.
I mean, your daughter bought her home. That's really great. You just, that's what people want. They don't want to talk about insurance actually.
No.
But, all right. So you ready for 3 fast questions before I let you go?
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So if you could give one piece of advice to founders or leaders building technology for the insurance industry today, what would that be?
Yeah, I think it's respect the workflow. Like don't think that I would say insurance buyers don't just adopt technology because it's clever. They adopt it because it actually solves real problems. And so you got to get really close to the user, understand what they're doing, understand where the data is, understand how they work. If you're going to build a solution that's gonna win. So don't think about solving clever problems. Think about solving real problems that exist at the user's desk.
That's a good one. All right. What's your favorite prediction you've made that actually came true?
Oh boy. I think, geez, this is a fun one to think through. I was always of the belief that whether you harken back to that McKinsey paper that came out, whether it was probably 15 years ago now, that talked about the death of the independent agent. I said, no,
Yeah.
it's not happening. There's no way. And so the success of the independent agent and the distribution channel was always something that I believed in. And that certainly has proven to be true over the past 20 years. And I think will continue to be proven to be true in the next 20 years. It's such an important, valuable role in distribution and is not going away anytime soon. And I think you can point back to various points in time where that's been predicted and proven false.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one too. All right, last one. So think back in time, you're not chief product officer, you're an emerging professional, you're maybe in school or coming out of school. What advice would you give a younger James Thom?
Yeah. Trust your gut a lot more, I think. The times when I've looked back on decision regret in my life is where I've known in my heart of hearts that I should have made a different choice and trusted my gut and maybe didn't have all the facts at the table and allowed maybe others to influence me in a certain direction to make a choice. But trust yourself, trust your ability to make decisions, trust your gut on what's right and what's wrong from a decision perspective, whether that's around people or product or customer, and you'll find yourself in a much better place.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. I think a lot of people would say that. My dad was an architect. He said to me once, life is not a straight line, son. It's not linear. So you have to enjoy the curves.
Yeah.
And sometimes it might have been a double entendre, but I don't know. I think sometimes we don't listen, and we do listen to the noise of others out there. But then when you stop and think, it's like, yeah, I kind of knew that already.
Yeah.
What was I thinking? But
Yeah.
sometimes when you're trying to make your mark and you have these opportunities and it's like, it doesn't really feel good because it is risky to take it. Sometimes you don't know unless you try it, right? That's the other side of that. If you don't take a chance, because it isn't always like, oh, my gut said absolutely no. My gut said, well, maybe no.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a scale, but at the end of the day, it's I call it the spidey sense. Like, what is my spidey sense telling me?
Yeah. No, I think we all need to trust ourselves more in those moments, whether it is taking the chance and taking the risk, right? Or it's or maybe not, right? If that's the situation. But I think at the end of the day, you want to be in a position where you stay true to yourself in those moments and made those decisions the right way. And maybe it's the same number of decisions. If I trusted my gut, I would have found I went the wrong way in the reverse. But certainly if I look back on decisions where I was like, I probably would have done that differently. It's where I didn't believe in myself in that moment. So,
yeah. Well, James, I wish you good luck to you and your colleagues at Vertafore. It's a great company. I look forward to seeing you at the next conference or sooner at some other thing. We'll be walking around the trade show, staring at all the booths and saying, "What do you guys do?" Oh, AI. Okay.
Yeah.
But no, it's been great. A great chat. Thank you, and wish you all the best, man.
Thanks, Peter. Appreciate it.
You bet.
This has been On Point with Peter Van Artryk, a podcast presentation of Wells Media Group.